You are live.
We're alive. Move.
Move. Move.
I guess I might as well add the music to this background. And
Good
the
morning,
associated
everyone.
system sounds. I'll sync the sounds, like the bomb sound and the move sound. That'd be great. Somewhere I have this movie you provided, and I can put that all together. I should do that.
Jeremy, Trina, Scarlet Starfish, 65 subscribe.
Good morning. Good morning, John. Can barely see your shirt. It looks like a IT crowd shirt. Is it? Uh-oh, I lost John. He doesn't hear me.
James, if you're talking, I can't hear you. Hello?
Hello? Yeah. John lost his audio. I don't know why. Well, wonderful.
Why can't I hear you, James?
I can hear him. I can hear you. He lost audio. Wonderful. Can people hear me?
What's really funny is I can hear you on YouTube, but not on StreamYard.
Something's wrong with your audio connection. You want to... I'll remove you and bring you back in. How about now? Anything?
Which is going to make a very difficult...
You might want to...
All right.
Oh, if you can't hear me, you can't... Oh my gosh. Why does this happen?
Say something.
Say something. Hello, hello,
No,
hello.
Still can't hear you.
You need to leave.
It's going to make things very difficult because
leave
of
the StreamYard, John.
15-second delay.
Close your Chrome
Which we have to
browser.
have because James has a terrible potty mouth, and we have to make sure we can beep him if need be.
Leave and come back into the StreamYard, John.
All right.
If you're getting
Shall
this
I just
message.
quit out of StreamYard and try
Haha! That's it.
logging in? Oh,
See, I was able to communicate that.
he's saying things, people.
I was able to communicate that. I'll put it in the chat. How about that? Leave StreamYard and come back in. Oh, okay. Keep doing it. Let's see. Let's see how that works. Scarlet Swordfish 65 subscribe. Jeremy from London. Trina. Good morning, everybody. Let's see if we can get John back in. Oh, here he comes. Now. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Hello? Oh.
Okay, that worked.
Oh. All right. Good deal.
That was so bizarre.
All right. It's a good thing we came in 5 minutes early.
Right? Yes.
All right, you ready to go?
I am ready.
All right. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the RetroMacCast with James and John. This is episode 580 for August 1st, 2021. Good morning, John.
Good morning, James.
Got that little technical glitch solved in the nick of time. Speaking of technical glitches, if you were quick to download last week's episode, the audio podcast, that is, the MP3 file, some glitch resulted in like a 14-minute file. And it wasn't 14, I think it was like 42. So somehow it got truncated. Thanks to some of the folks out there that downloaded it earlier and pointed it out. And I went back because, I did everything I normally do. I don't know why the final MP3 saved out of GarageBand was just a fraction of the full file. But anyway, I was able to fix that. And so if you have that problem, just re-download. It's also a handy technique for exaggerating our download numbers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Technical difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah. Advertisers like to see that big numbers there, so when they sponsor our podcast. I think so. Anyway, that's theoretical. We never had anybody sponsor the podcast, so I don't know anything about that. All right. Well, what are we talking about today? We're talking about
We're going to be doing recapping.
Recapping.
Not
that
recapping.
Kind of recapping.
Not recapping boards. No. No. We were going to talk about Kansasfest, which happened. Last weekend.
Do you have a first hand, second hand account? I don't know. It was virtual.
It was virtual, but I would consider it a first-hand account.
But I'm sure you lived it to the fullest. So we'll
I did. Yeah.
Find out about your experience later on. And let's see. Well, we'll have the usual eBay stuff. A particularly interesting auction this week. And then, of course, news and whatever else comes our way. So we'll be right back with some eBay finds. Yeah, I don't know what your audio cut. While the audio cut out, I was trying to find out about your shirt. I guess you have an IT crowd.
Yes, it is the keep calm and call.
Call, yes, that's the tech support line.
Yes, that is it was basically their version of 911, but they had increased the numbers.
What was the idea that you would actually never call them because you couldn't remember that number?
Probably, yeah. There's a very funny scene with a on-fire monitor and boss trying to send off an email to the fire department. Such a great show. Absolutely.
All right, let's get some auctions up. Let's start talking about them.
Yeah.
You ready? Let's go.
I am ready. Let's
3, 2, 1. Time now for eBay finds. Last week, that sign, the lit Apple logo sign, probably rescued from a Portland area Apple store. That one is still available. Buy it now, $1,000 or make an offer. I actually got HQ approval to purchase this myself. Not at that price, but maybe if there would be a negotiation here at home before I negotiated with the seller. And surprisingly, I didn't push that too much because I don't know. I've got such a great sign already.
Oh yeah,
hung up in the window. I don't know.
You've got several wonderful ones. Yeah.
And as nice as this is, it's not vintage enough. If it were
sure,
if it was 6 color, and I already have a great sign hanging above my desk. So, is the price down? No, I don't think so. It was $1,000, right? Last week, I think it was.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it's the same price. And then that hastily put together auction for an SC30 with all the wrong things done in an ad. That one sold. 11 bids took that all the way to $202.50.
Amazing for an unknown. Yeah.
Right. SC30 with no keyboard, a little dusty, a floppy disk stuck in the drive, perhaps, and absolutely no knowledge of what would happen if you turned it on. And that little that rug, the custom Apple 6 color rug, they wanted $4,000 was the buy it now, and I don't know if it was pointed out in the chat or later on it was revealed that this is actually bears a striking resemblance to this, which over on Alibaba.com, if you do a search on Apple rug, you'll come up with this, which, bet it's the same thing, and you can get it for quite a bit cheaper than the eBay auction. So if that does interest you, going over to Alibaba.com.
I may actually have to get one of those. I think one of those would be awesome up here in the Mac attic when you first come in.
Yeah, and have you ever ordered anything from Alibaba? Have you figured out how that all works? Because it's kind of.
I don't think I ever have. No.
Yeah, I have to like read up on even how to approach this, because there's like a minimum quantities, and it kind of depends, and there's all kinds of weirdness to it. So, but if you go through the trouble of figuring it out, get me one too.
Would you want to put that link in the
Alibaba.com.
Okay.
Just search Apple rug.
Apple rug. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be like the
Sounds
second
good.
hit or something. Let's see. Okay. Well, we'll start off this week with we had that Gizmo watch, is what we were calling it, that John turned into a clock. Here's another watch that I think would look great as a clock, with our favorite mascot, Claris, the DogCow.
Claris, yeah.
This watch comes from Japan, and it's one of those things where we see a lot of stuff coming out of Japan. There are a lot of Apple related items that were sold, marketed over there, possibly official stuff. I believe this was official things that just we didn't see over here. And so you've got this watch. It's a black plastic bezel, it looks like, with Claris prominently featured in the middle. Is that a little red Apple logo there at the?
It is hiding behind
position?
yes, and I like the red second hand.
Red second hand, yep. Mm-hmm. White band, and it's boxed. It looks new. Yeah, it's all very clean. The box says Apple Watch on it, and looks sharp. Buy it now, $229.98. Seems like a reasonable deal to me for the uniqueness of it. How cool is that, right? That's way cooler than any modern day Apple Watch, I think. Probably would need just a new battery.
Wouldn't it be nice if they if Apple did some Apple Watch faces based off of their old vintage watches? I think that would be really really amazing.
Let's see. So yeah, ships from Japan. Again, $229.98. There is a make an offer on this, so it's a little steep. You can see if you can get it for cheaper. And actually, the shipping is included on that to the U.S. Okay, what's next?
All right, next up we have a Macintosh MacQuarium tank with the internal stand. So this is you're not getting the shell of a classic computer. You are getting the thing that will sit inside to make it a MacQuarium. We've talked about these over the years. This one is made out of glass, so you're not going to have to worry about too many scratches. And it's ready to go. Pop it in, throw some fish in there, you're set. Maybe some water, fish like water. I think if I got something like this, I would probably do something more like a little mossarium versus an aquarium, just because less upkeep. But very reasonable. Right now it's got 0 bids, $29.99. This has got 6 days to go. I'm sure somebody will buy this. I'm half tempted myself, because just the MacQuarium. Anyway, I've certainly got enough shells running around here. I got some. So this is the. They've got an original post about it that you can read up on archive.org. The fish tank does not leak, which is always a good sign. Good thing. Good feature of an aquarium. It was custom made glass fish tank, capacity 2 gallons, give or take a hectare. It can be put inside any gutted modified 128, 512, 512 KE, plus SE, SE30, and then they think it might also work in a classic or classic 2 case. They're not 100% sure. So there you go.
Now you can see there with the shell they use for display purposes. There's
Yes.
a cutout or two in there. I mean, if you're going to
Right.
do a
They
fish
had to
tank, you're going to
remove
need some kind of filtering equipment that's going to have to feed out the back
Yes.
somewhere.
In this
And
instance,
whatnot.
they cut out the bit that would have been where the handle goes, so they could easier access for feeding and so forth. Also,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. It's been a while since we've seen MacQuarium related stuff. Okay, and finally, what the heck is this? This is a very interesting auction. The title says, First Apple Server Ever Made, created by Frank Freeman, best friend of Steve Jobs. And let me read the description doesn't say much more than that. It says, First Apple server ever made, the mock-up plastic server tower. Let's look at the pictures. I should probably say what they want first for this thing before we look at the pictures. They want a starting bid of $25,000. $25,000. There's a make an offer. The first picture kind of scares me, right? It looks like somebody cut it out of a magazine with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
It's a hastily edited photo with the background removed of the front of this thing they're calling the first server ever. Okay.
And and looking at this picture, does it look like they basically cut bits and pieces off of other Macintosh cases? Because at the top of that looks like it came right off of a Classic or Classic 2 almost with the floppy port kind of recessed along that.
It does share
trench.
design elements with other Macs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And let's look at the next picture there. There's a closer picture of what looks like actual hardware, not just a fuzzy picture.
Sure.
Showing some of the buttons. I guess that's power reset. And then the back is again this. Why is the background hastily removed? Is interesting. The back shows a couple of power connectors, and then the faceplate, which says Macintosh 2, but in a strange vertical orientation that fits with the rest of the case design. The next two photos are the most interesting because these look legit, of something actual real that hasn't been edited out of something else possibly. And it shows a tall, right, vertically oriented chassis. And it's, sitting in an old freezer in somebody's barn. So you get the back photo and you get the side, which shows it's kind of this kind of almost a two-piece configuration. Why we don't have, and I guess theoretically, I don't know. I guess the front of this thing could have been that first photo, and they decided to edit out the background and didn't decide to edit out the background in these. I don't know.
This is still weird. I mean, yeah.
Well, everything's weird about it. I mean,
yes.
You're going to ask $25,000 for it. You're going to probably take a few better photos. Well, this is Apple Design, the great book that's the compendium of all the concepts that the Apple Industrial Design Group or all the contracted agencies designed for Apple over the years. And on page 120 are photos of what is called Columbo. And I think NanoRaptor actually pulled the photo. There we go. On Twitter. And this is the same that's in my book, right? The same
okay,
there.
So it does have a curved front. Okay.
Yeah. And so you can see, and then there was a kind of a desktop, and then there's this tower orientation. And so you can see that right there, right? And then there's inside the door. Now, of course, the seller didn't give us a door opening. And then there's a cable management system hidden there in the back as well. But if you read the history of Columbo, the Columbo Tower and Desktop Computer Concepts, this is around January to June of 1988. This was a design concept that was going to possibly follow the Snow White design language. And the idea here is they had, well, the part there on the back, it's kind of the longer part, the longer, skinnier part would house the motherboard, power supply, things that the operator, the user wouldn't regularly need to get to. And so it can kind of be shifted and put in the back. And then the rest of it, that sort of forward-facing area, then would have all the drives, right? Hard drives, removable media, all the stuff that you would want to go to. And so this was designed to be set on the floor. Obviously, the thing's looks massive, right? So there really was something that looked like what's in the picture. And the question is then, how far along was this thing in the picture towards what you saw in this book?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, you can look in the back, you can see there's nothing in it. I mean, who knows how far along they took these concepts? Is there the removable door there? Is this front picture even, because it's even a lower res than those other pictures, right? I mean, not only is it cropped out, it's a lower resolution. So I don't know.
Yeah, very
there certainly could be something here.
And then, but also look at the seller's information. They've sold one thing so far. I looked. There are no other auctions by this seller.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I couldn't find the name Frank Freeman in Apple's design book. It mentions the full Apple team that was responsible for the design. It doesn't say Frank Freeman or anything about Frank being the best friend of Steve Jobs. I have to look that one up. I don't even remember that name in history. But so yeah, very curious. Lots of questions. Definitely need to be answered before anybody should spend $25,000 or anything near that for this. And even if it were legit, like full up real, first of all, it's not the first. I don't know if it's the first server concept that they were pursuing, but it actually they had thought enough through this that it was going to have like a dual 68030 configuration in it.
Well, certainly your server, the it had to have predated this. I mean,
no, this one did. This one did actually predate. Yeah, so it actually is fairly. I mean, you're talking late 80s.
We're talking your server that basically looks like an end table.
Yeah, that came after this.
That came after this. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Really interesting though. But yeah, so even if it were legit, is it $25,000? I don't know. Gosh, at least 10, more than 10. Sure, certainly 15. I don't know, but yeah, it's a shame that they didn't take some better pictures of this. But we'll watch this, and maybe they'll edit the entry or edit the auction with some better photos. We'll have to just.
Well, I wonder what would happen on something like this if you messaged them through eBay and said, "Hey,
you can do that.
Added a few more pictures." That would be interesting.
Answer a couple questions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. The book. Boy, you used to be able to get this book. I think when I bought this book, it was just like, listed on Amazon, like it was in print. And of course now they're out of print and hard to find. I'm trying to think when it was originally published, 1997. So yeah, this is a great book for your library. All right, let's see. We're going to move on to.
Yeah, let me tell you what. Before we actually start recording the audio portion, what I was going to do is we're going to pop a link.
Okay.
In the chat.
Yeah, Patrick, it looks like it's just a case. I don't think they ever got so far as to make a working one with the hardware installed. I mean, and even in the picture you can see in the back. Although there could actually be a power supply in it, because it's got the receptacles for the power cords, but there's nothing in that hole in the back.
Okay. We are all set for talking about things from last weekend.
Trina's reporting that book, Apple Design, can be found on eBay. There's one at least at the low price of $200. Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. In honor of an Apple II centric segment, I hung
I saw that. Yes.
my
Is that the latch?
what do you call this? Latch hook rug. Apple II version.
Awesome.
Of it.
Awesome. Very nice.
Yes. All right. So last weekend. Well, how long was it? Wasn't it? It was longer than a weekend.
It was
right?
Friday and Saturday. Yeah, and I mean the actual Kansasfest starts on a Tuesday and goes through Sunday, with people actually showing up on Monday. So basically, a whole week if you go to a Kansasfest live.
Mm-hmm.
But for
They
the
crammed it
last 2
all.
years, of course, they've done the virtual one, and I have to say, that again this year, and we had Paul Hagstrom on to talk about kind of what it was going to be like, and everything. Yeah, it did not disappoint. Let's put it that way. It was 2 days of stuff. I barely understood half of it, because there are some very, very smart people that go to this thing doing some incredible stuff with very old hardware.
And so
Yeah.
what do they just have an agenda of sessions, and you just dial in, you call in what, Zoom, or
Yeah, so what
what
it
is it?
is they if you attended for the $10, it gave you access to watching it on Zoom versus YouTube, and also there is a Discord channel that was going the entire time, and actually goes through the entire year. So there's a Kansas Fest Discord that you have access to, and yeah, they keep it running
Awesome.
for the year. So that's really cool too. So yeah, so when I was viewing it via Zoom. You can obviously with Zoom and on YouTube, people could ask questions and everything. But one of the things that was kind of neat is a lot of people would pre-record their session, which they are timed sessions. So each session lasted maybe only about 15 minutes or so, maybe half an hour, just depending on the topic. But what was nice about them being able to pre-record it is they would record it and try to get it down so they had about 5 minutes of question and answer afterwards. So you would watch the pre-recorded session, and then they would come on and answer any questions that had popped up in the chat in the meantime.
Yeah.
It was very good. It was very efficient. One of the things with the actual events is you got people having to bring on equipment, set up equipment for their talk, do their talk, break down their equipment before the next person could get up and do their session. With this, it was pretty much one right after the other. And of course, they did build in places for coffee breaks and lunch breaks for the different sessions for the 2 days. All in all, there were about 30 sessions total.
I said maybe next year. You say it's probably going to be in person.
Yes,
Next
yes,
year.
they did
Maybe
announce
next year
they are planning on a live
next year
event.
you'll go there and walk into the room, and then they'll just play a video of the person's prepared presentation. And then at the end they'll walk in and answer questions. But
That's right. Yeah.
so what are the highlights? What are the things that stuck out to you? What did you get the most out of?
So first of all, I was trying to think of how to approach this, because with 30 sessions, how do you do that? So let's break it kind of down into categories.
You didn't attend every session, did you?
Yeah.
Every session you attended.
Well,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, again, it's all virtual. So I was camped out here. I had snacks. I was set. I had coffee. I had soda. I had water. I was here. I was here for the duration.
Well, I'm not. I was curious. You had all that, but something is noticeably missing in that equation. I don't know. I don't think you have any restroom facilities.
Whatever.
You don't have to explain.
I did mention
Whatever.
that they had
You do what you have to do.
coffee breaks. They had coffee breaks and lunch breaks.
Yeah, coffee break is not necessarily just for coffee.
That's right. I didn't need to go get coffee. I had the coffee. I needed to go get rid of coffee. Let's just put it that way.
You made it sound like you were barricaded right there in that room that you're saying. Okay.
No, this isn't like a Howard Hughes situation or anything. Okay. Anyway, so yeah. So
some of them you didn't understand. I don't want to talk about those. I want to talk about the ones that you.
Well, even the ones you don't understand are very, very interesting. So like one of the first ones was, all right. So the graphics on the Apple II were nutballs. They were just crazy how you had to do graphics. The way that
it was all a hack.
It was all mapped out in memory. Yeah, the whole thing started as a hack to get color, and unfortunately, it was a great selling point at first, but it really kind of crippled what they could do going into the future. So you had your standard high res, you had your low res graphics, you had high res graphics, and then you had an even crazier double high res graphics, which if you had the 80 column card on a 2E is how you would get your double high res graphics, which gave you like I think it was like 560 pixels across, but not really, because they weren't like individually addressable. You were addressable in like 4 pixel chunks, and depending on how you address them, you got your different colors. But if you had 2 colors next to each other, you would get some weird fringing. Crazy. So one of the first sessions was a guy who came up with a program called 2Pix, which is a double high-res image converter for modern PC. So it would use modern PC to take an image and convert it into double high-res, which Total Replay, which I've got running behind me, they actually have digitized box art, and they used this
knows what's happening.
Yeah,
we're back.
We're back.
We had a glitch. All right.
We had a glitch.
So you were talking about digitizing box art. Keep going.
Right. Using this program. So anyway, so there was that. Looking back at a game, Rebecca Heinemann, Burger Becky, did a great talk about the creation of Task Times in Tone Town, and how the first Apple IIGS 2GS game came to be. It's just fascinating. What she had like basically 4 weeks to convert a game from a different system. In this instance, I think it was like kind of an Amiga version, to bring it over to what was originally going to just be an Apple IIe game, but they had given them a prototype 2GS to work on. And once she realized that, things got crazy quick to try to implement a real 2GS version of the game. Just such a great listening to. So you got that. You've got go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so before we forget, these are available now to watch after the fact. I mean, you lose the
yes, they are. Yeah, I've already put the link for the YouTube channel in our YouTube. I mean, our chat here.
Yeah.
And that link will take you to the Kansasfest. So not only do they have the stuff from this year, they have last year's talks up there. They've got stuff from going past where back to having to actually have had like something that they recorded on like a camcorder and digitized from many years back. So it's a great archive.
Nice.
So looking at last year's, they actually had each session as its own file. This year, they basically just have your day one, day two video, but then they've got bookmarks.
Okay.
If you go to the notes, so you can get to a specific section on the video. So I would.
Did you? I remember you were coming in with some Apple III questions for Paul.
Yeah. So Paul did a great talk on. It was called the funny mode on the Apple III. The Apple III actually came with basically kind of an Apple II emulator built in.
Right.
And I remember
that's
actually
what he's calling funny mode is
funny mode, yeah, because it wasn't true. They basically they basically kind of hobbled the Apple II emulator that was in there, not because of processing power, but because they also didn't want the Apple III competing with the Apple II. Not that would have ever happened, because the Apple III was ridiculously more expensive than the Apple II was. But so he talks a bit about that, and some of the, kind of maybe working around some of the stuff that Apple kind of used to kind of make it not as usable. But so that was pretty much for Apple III. But there's some familiar names did a talk. Let me get the name right. Oh yeah, there was a great talk about Jeff Raskin and somebody who's got a version of the Swift system that will run on the 2E or 2C.
Oh wow!
So you can kind of check out the Swift system. That was really neat. It was a guy named Vince Weaver who did tiny programs for the Apple II. They're basically Apple II programs small enough to fit into a tweet. Pretty cool, and just amazing demos that he's gotten to fit in there.
I'm sure that violates the terms of Twitter sending executable code. Well,
executable on an Apple II. I don't think
could be a virus in there.
Probably not too many worries about that. There was a great so you had. It's amazing how many of the talks were forward-facing talks. Things going forward on the computer versus looking back. I mean, there was some great looking back. Also, there was an artist that she had developed allergies to paints and turned to doing stuff on the Apple II back in the day, and that was a very fascinating talk. And of course, one of the things was kind of being poo-pooed by other artists for using computers to create art. So that was a very interesting talk.
So Ron
McAdams did a great talk. We've had Ron McAdams on. He did a great talk about the Apple IIe card and the Macintosh, and kind of went over how to make sure to set up your hard drive correctly and everything to get the most out of your 2E card, which was a very nice talk. Javier Rivera did a great talk on modding. He made a very professional-looking black Apple IIc. And he went through some of the techniques that he used to get this. I mean, it looks like it was designed that way. He did such a great job of that.
Well, cool.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned that there were there new products, new announcements of things to take the Apple II into the future? I know
there were some. I mean, it was more software based, development tools for developing Apple II software that made it easier to debug, and we're talking like compiled source code versus just something in BASIC where you can run and if you have a error. But it was more stuff like that. There was some things about using a modern computer to control, basically to send keyboard commands to an Apple II remotely, or several Apple IIs at once. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But no, actually, as far as actual hardware, not as much this year. But it's only because there have been so many solutions that have come up over the last couple of years for accessing. But I mean, there's still stuff you can develop that wasn't talked about here. There are a couple of new games. There is a guy did a really great recreation of Centipede for the Apple IIgs, called
a recreation.
Yes,
because there was one. There was there was an official one, but
this one looks like actual arcade Centipede versus the
they did a better
one
job.
that was back. Yeah, much better job. There's also a great talk guy did about porting a vector arcade game to the Apple II, and he ended up creating a pretty darn playable version of Asteroids on the Apple II. And it's just a great talk about some of the stuff he had to do to get the speed up to a playable, and also just recreating as well as you can vector graphics on a something that has nowhere near anything that could actually look like vector graphics. So
Yeah.
let's see what else. There was a very interesting talk about the first Chinese word processor on the Apple II, developed by two guys who did not speak or write in Chinese. Very fascinating talk. So yeah, great combination of looking
Yeah, it
back
sounds like
at
it.
how things were done and things to do in the future.
There was one other activity that went on during that. I guess, was it at the end that you participated in
Oh,
that big
the
podcast?
mega podcast. Yeah, so all the different podcasters gone on, and this time I think we had 11 or 12 podcasters come on, and that one is available on Kansasfest on the YouTube channel as well. So
Great.
yeah.
All right. Well, if you missed it,
Oh yes, the blockchain talk.
yes.
Oh my gosh, Charles Mangan
Oh,
did a fantastic. So last year he talked about actually using an Apple II to
to mine
to
Bitcoin.
do to mine Bitcoin, and of course, it's like oh yeah, in like 3,000 years you might get a Bitcoin, but he is actually developing his own Bitcoin solution that's like an 8-bit Bitcoin for keeping track of high scores for video games
Oh,
that he's developing, and so he did a fantastic talk. I still don't understand it very well, but I understand it way more than I did with his talk. And yeah, Charles Mangan
wow.
he's always done fun stuff, and his he just does such a great he does great talks. He's got a lot of humor, and he's just
Well, that
he's
one
an
I got
awesome
to
guy
see.
all around. Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you're like me and had other pressing matters, I don't know what could be more pressing, but you need to go to Kansasfest. Is it .org? I think it's .org. Kansasfest.org, and check out everything and pick and choose what you like to see. All right, Steve, Mac 84 is in the room.
Yeah, Patrick, I'm glad you mentioned the blockchain because I almost forgot about that, and I really did want to make sure to mention that one.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's see. We got some news. Let's see. Get that queued up. All right. You ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1. Let's take a look at the news. Actually, some upcoming news. Speaking of festivals, the Vintage Computer Festival Southeast is trying to do this in person. It is scheduled for August 20th through 22nd at the
Normally,
yes,
sorry, go ahead. Yes, at the
normally
Marriott Renaissance Waverly
yes
in
in
Atlanta,
Atlanta, Georgia.
and of course,
What are you
normally I
gonna
would
say
try to go to
normally?
this because not only all right, so so not only do you have the Vintage Computer Festival Southeast, but they also have a great arcade pinball a retro thing called the Southern Fried Game Room Expo.
Right.
And about 2 years ago, they joined forces, and unfortunately, they've only been able to do one of these combo events. But it's a lot of fun, and unfortunately, it's like 2 weeks before Dragon Con, and I do not want to drive. It's 4.5 hours one way for us to get to Atlanta. I don't want to go and then 2 weeks later have to go back up. So I am not going to try to do this live. If it even happens, as James and I were
Yeah,
talking, with the whole situation with some of the variants out there, and we're not talking Loki, that it'll be interesting. Hopefully,
yeah, if
it'll
they
still
actually
happen
do
for
this
them.
thing.
But yeah,
Right. Yeah. Well, tentatively it's there, and so good luck. I hope that this can go down, and we'll find out.
oh, and what's
Yeah.
kind of funny is Earl Bow is the event coordinator on this, and we may maybe we can talk to see about have him come on next week to talk about the event if it's still going to happen. But one of the channels on Discord for the Kansas Fest was a swap meet, and there was like a guy looking for some Apple II parts and he's like, I'm in the Atlanta area. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll be up there. Do you go to Dragon Con? I'll be up there for Dragon Con. And it turns out it was Earl looking for some Apple II parts. So,
There you go.
as long as everything happens with Dragon Con, I'll be able to give him some bits and pieces to help him with the project he's working on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anybody know this guy?
Hey,
Steve.
Steve.
His channel, Mac84. I was watching this earlier today where he starts messing around with the raw SCSI, the ultimate SCSI emulator for vintage Macs, now with Ethernet. So he's got a great little tutorial in there of not just this, but the various options that exist for getting a newer Mac with a SCSI interface and replacing it with a solid state option with, a lot easier opportunity to get software to and from, install operating systems, that kind of thing. So he walks you through that whole process. That's great video. Go along with all the other great videos at Mac84. And look at this. I've never even seen a lot of this. The 8-bit guy.
The 8-bit guy. Oh, yeah. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and he decided to turn his attention to the Apple I.
Oh, very nice.
Where in this short little video, he compresses what would probably take me weeks of time to build an Apple I.
Oh my gosh! Does he go through the build process from the bare board?
From the bare board. From the bare board. And of course, it's not an original Apple I, but reproduction hardware and components. And so he puts it all together and walks you through it. No, it's not like a step-by-step tutorial. It's it's kind of the highlights to give you a sense of what goes into it, along with a little bit of history in there. But it's a great video if you've never seen how an Apple I put together and what it's capable of. So I enjoyed that very much. One of the things that he mentioned in there, which I was not aware of, was Smarty Kit. Have you heard about this thing?
No.
Smarty Kit, computer construction kit to build the first computer of Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, the Apple I. Building it, you would understand how computers work, feel the spirit of Silicon Valley, and have fun.
Well, I'm pretty sure we've talked about the Briel.
We have, which is a pre-built
PCB that you populate. This thing is all breadboard based. Holy
cow. So this is more of a more educational in nature.
Yeah, right.
But it looks like it comes with all the breadboards and the wires and all the junctions and everything. And then, it's a complete up kit, very much with the idea of learning about computers and electronics and that sort of thing. Pretty awesome. I was trying to see what's the pricing on this thing. You can see everything. Oh, there it is, $139.
Wow,
hey, that sounds like a bargain.
Absolutely.
It even is battery powered. The only thing it does not. Oh, it even has an LCD screen. How is that even possible? 2.8-inch LCD screen. I mean, this is
plenty of resolution, right? For an Apple I.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the resolution. It's not out yet. Oh, it's not out yet. It says subscribe to be the first. Notify when it's released. Yeah. So it's not out yet, but coming. So that
the original awesome. Apple II resolution was 280 by 192, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And we'll close with a couple creations by NanoRaptor, Dana Severa. We've been delinquent in sharing some of these as they've been released. The app, this one, what is this thing even called? The nomenclature. It says it's like the Apple 2GS Tower, but I guess the 2 is a stylized spelling of the 2, I guess. Look at this. Did you remember this one? Of course, the 2GS was a desktop configuration. This 2GS Tower packs more power with 3 floppy drives, 2 5 1/4 and a single 3.5. I think that would be a great way to go, right? What do you think of that?
Absolutely.
Did
Sure.
you buy one of those?
Well, you know the 2GS was great at making the monitor sit up higher, though. I do like the style.
Monitor stand. Yeah, I like this one. And then this one, the Power Macintosh G4 all-in-one, also known as Molar Mac 2.
Oh my gosh.
It says it was difficult to look at and weighed just under 1 short ton. What is a short ton, by the way? Look at this darling right here. So it's kind of
love it.
You know,
Oh
more
my
modern.
gosh, the stuff that Dana comes up with is just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that. It's got a tray loading CD-ROM. It's rounded like that. And I think it's got a tilted monitor. A little bit different, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, again, that's all NanoRaptor over on Twitter.
So Patrick keeps reminding me of things that I should have mentioned. One of them is that there's a guy that worked, I think he worked for either Bethesda or Steam. I can't remember which one offhand, but he made an Apple IIe emulator inside the Unreal Engine. So he showed a demonstration of him like in a game going up to an Apple IIe sitting on the desk, and it is a full up Apple IIe emulator living within the game engine, and looked so good. I mean, you know, he had phosphor glow and everything on the green screen monitor in the game. Just
wow,
so cool. Yeah.
So there's like a video, I guess, on YouTube somewhere of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
he goes through the kind of a walkthrough, and he was using it to as a puzzle in this room. So you had to look for clues in the room and go to the Apple II, and but yeah, pretty darn awesome. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, Patrick.
Here's another one, just to throw in at the end here, another NanoRaptor creation. This is
The
interesting.
everything port.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? So you just have that one cable to reduce your desktop clutter. I can't imagine how many tentacles would have to come off this thing.
Right.
I mean,
yes. Speaking of that, I am still looking for a cable for hooking up that portrait display that you gave me.
Oh yeah. I thought you said you found one. You're still looking. Okay.
Well, yeah. So I did a little bit more research on it, and yeah, I do not need a specific. I bought a specific card for it, and it turns out I didn't really need it because I could have used my Quadra 700. It was actually built-in support for the portrait display. So now I need to find your standard.
So it's the cable.
Apple 15 pin to the weird.
The weird one, yeah. It almost looks like
connector.
That one we just showed. Actually,
Right.
It is a.
Yeah, that's what reminded me of it. Is there's some of those weird pins in there, and I mean, there's one on eBay right now, but I think they want like $80 for it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just hoping to find it a little bit cheaper.
Did you turn on that monitor? Does it even come up and hum? And
I did not. No. Should I do that before I even bother with anything?
Yeah.
It's been okay. All right.
I mean, it was only stored in my Florida attic for 15 years.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a good.
It may just burst into flames. I don't. You might want to sit that on a table outside. A long extension cord. All right. Let's.
Yep, Steve. That's the one. DB15 to 13W3. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 13W3 was one of those robots in the background right. In the Java workshop.
Well, looking on eBay for those cables, you have to be careful because they were also used on some Sun monitors, and they are not compatible, from what I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the outro. Ready to go?
I am ready.
In 3, 2, 1. That brings us to an end of another episode of the RetroMacCast. Next week, we haven't talked about next week, have we?
Yeah, I'll see if we can get Earl on. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Earl. Reach out to Earl. You guys can, and you can also firm up your. Because I know
Apple 2 parts, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to let that stuff go for any less than full retail plus markup. So You can have to
I'm going to go
remind
off of
him.
Jonathan Goldman prices and just start from there, and then yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we could talk about the Vintage Computer Festival plans and hopefully contingencies. I don't know. I don't even know. Did they even? I think they just canceled it outright last year, didn't they? I'm not sure they did anything. So we'll try to do that. And anything else you want to talk about?
Nothing.
We all good?
Nothing.
Thanks to everybody in the channel for joining us today. It's good to see everyone out there. Okay. All right, John. Well, until next week, remember, it's not old.
It's retro.
There. Real short and sweet outro for the audio listeners. Nobody here listens to the audio version too, right? I mean, you show up here. And
they're here, right?
I
They can
don't
find
know if
out
it's a different experience.
Interesting facts about things like I was without air conditioner for 3 days this week.
What?
Yes. Yeah. Nothing like
At home. Yeah.
At home. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing like 3 days in end of July in Florida to not have air conditioning. It was a very expensive week for me.
Goes out at the wrong time. But this is in your house, not in the attic.
In the house.
So thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So crisis averted.
Right. Yes. Forget the cats. My computers were cool. That was it.
Did you move into the Mac attic during those 3 days? Was it?
No. I put a window unit in our bedroom, so the pets weren't boiling during the day. Yep.
Well, I'm glad it's been hot here in Florida. We had a feels like 101 yesterday. I noticed.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing that we actually haven't gotten any true 3-digit days this summer.
Mm-mm.
Which, I mean, we do usually.
It's been a while.
At least a few.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember for years. You sure? Recent history?
I believe so.
I don't know. It certainly feels like it sometimes.
Oh, Steve offered to. Steve, if you want to email me, that would be nice. If you want to mail me that cable so I can test, that would be awesome.
Yeah, he's going to power check first.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Outside, like you said. I'll just set it on the grill to begin with. Yeah.
Right. Power cord or one finger and this hand with the fire extinguisher. Like you might as well already.
So I don't have to call this number. Because it starts on fire. Yeah.
Actually, it might even be worthwhile to pull the case on that very carefully without breaking it and just inspecting just the visual condition of the power supply,
of the caps and
everything
inside.
Supply, sure. Yeah, I mean, because it's there's potential. It's so far gone that you wouldn't even want to apply power. Like you're just going to make things worse, right?
Got it.
So, and of course, you got to be real careful about moving that. I'm sure those are brittle plastics.
I am absolutely sure it's brittle plastics. Yes.
Yeah. All right. That'd be a good thing to do live here on the show. Forget about the inspection. Just let's
that could be a whole segment of this has been my attic for 20 years. Let's see what happens. You actually did that kind of, didn't you? I forget what piece of equipment it was, but you had set it up behind you.
Oh well,
that was the Macintosh TV.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't stored in my attic for decades. All right.
True.
We'll be back next week. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. Hope to see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.